Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. I hope that you are all well. This is where I talk about the books that I'm reading, the books that I like to read. I like to read diverse books, and I highlight Canadian literature. If you are new, thank you so much for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. It's great having you as part of the community. I first want to thank all of you who follow my channel for your patience. I've been away much longer than I thought I would be. It has been some time, like a few months. And as you can see, I'm slowly getting my books organized again. I am currently in my living room, and I'm still working on the shelves in here, but I'm also working on the shelves in my office. But soon I will probably film in both locations, so there will be a change of scenery every now and then, so hopefully that's cool with you. I'm happy to be back, and over the next little while I will be sharing books that I've read and that I've hauled, plus other videos that I've planned, some of them many months ago. But today I'm going to be talking about the long list for the Stephen Leacock Medal for Humor. So the 10 books on the long list were announced on April 28th, and the short list of 3 books will be announced very soon, tomorrow actually, on May 20th. So I'm going to go through these 10 books, and you can let me know in the comments which 3 you would pick for the short list. So if you don't already know about the Stephen Leacock Awards, it is an award that recognizes excellence in Canadian literary humor. So if you're looking for, funny books, this is a good list to go to. I don't know of another literary award like it, and this is one of those awards that happens more quietly, I will say, than say the Giller or even the Carol Shields Prize, which the Carol Shields Prize is only a few years old, and the Leacock Award is over 75 years old, and still so many people don't even know it exists. So the winner of the Leacock Award receives $25,000, and the 2 runners-up receive $5,000 each. So, it's not too shabby for a literary prize. So let's take a look at this long list. The list has both fiction and nonfiction books. Of the 10 books, I've only read 1, and it was Cold by Drew Hayden Taylor. And I read this with the Reading Across Canada book club. So this is kind of surprising to me that this is on the list, because I would not have described this as humorous or funny. This is the only book that I've read from this author so far, and I would say it's more of a horror theme, with a lot of gruesome scenes. It's an Indigenous Wendigo story that basically has 2 storylines at the beginning, and they collide somewhere in the middle. So perhaps I missed the humor. There were some clever lines, I do remember that, and I did think that it was worth a read, especially if you don't mind the gruesome scenes, and if you enjoy Wendigo stories, this is a good one to check out. A book that's been on my radar for a long time, and that I've heard really good things about by several people, that's always a good sign to me, is I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. This is a debut novel, and I've heard that it is really funny. It is an office comedy that has been described as heartwarming, funny, and that it will make you laugh out loud. So I like all of those things, and I'm really hoping that that's true. It has also been compared to a couple of books that I loved, which are Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. That book is by Gail Honeyman, and I adored that story and the main character. And then Anxious People by Frederick Backman, which was also a delightful read. So I would totally love to see this shortlisted. and it is high on my TBR, so I will be reading it. Another book that is kind of on my radar is Ruff by Rod Carley. Now, I'm saying kind of on the radar because I know that Rod Carley is a humor author, and I've seen this book. So that's about as far as the familiarity goes. This doesn't sound like my typical kind of book, but there are some intriguing elements to it. The main character is Will Shakespeare, who is just having a really rough time, and it seems to have quite an eccentric cast of characters, which I know you all know I usually enjoy. I love that. So if you've read this, let me know what you think, and if you'd recommend it to someone like myself. Another debut from the list is Never Been Better by Leanne Toshiko Simpson. The blurb for this begins by saying that it's a hilariously offbeat and tender comedy about one bipolar woman's messy search for love at a seaside wedding where no one can stay afloat. It says, is she falling in love or falling apart? So I already love that. It already sounds intriguing to me. The three main characters in this story meet on a psych ward, and it's basically a love triangle. Matt and I think it's Misa are getting married, and Dee has been madly in love with Matt ever since they were in the hospital. So now it's like, does she tell Matt how she feels and, destroy her support system, which is basically who these people are, and their wedding, or does she keep quiet while her friends enjoy their happy ever after? So this sounds like it has potential for a lot of hilarity. So it's definitely on my radar. Okay, we are halfway there at number 5. Is We Came From Away. It's That Summer on the Rock by Patricia Parsons. So this sounds like it could be a real gem. Of course, here the rock is referring to Newfoundland. And Nora is turning 100, and in order to celebrate, she wants her family to go on a road trip across Newfoundland. And she's hoping, for hopes of healing some of the family tension and wounds that exist. So I have to say that I have enjoyed books with 100-year-old characters before. I love a good road trip, and I adore Newfoundland. I've actually done a road trip across Newfoundland, so this could be a lot of fun. Okay, moving on to the final 5 books on the list. So let's start with An Evening with Birdy O'Day by Greg Kearney. So the main character in this story is Roland Kenner, who is an aging hairstylist, and he lives in a small town with his partner Tony. They've been there for over 25 years, or together over 25 years. And one day he hears that his childhood best friend and his first love, Birdy O'Day, will be playing a hometown concert. So this is a story about their friendship and how, one of them toured the world as a pop star and the other, Roland, stays closer to home. And depending on how this story is told, I think it could also be a gem. Okay, next up is Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austin. It seems that this has a main character that I will really like. Enid is obsessed with space, and she has a phobia of bald men, and she is dating women on the apps and eventually believes that someone is following her. So she seems like a quirky character, which I love. The book is supposed to be quirky, charming, and funny. And I, of course, love all of those things, and it makes sense for the Leacock Award. So this might end up on my TBR too. Okay, the next book is Mood Swings by Frankie Barnet. This one might be a little too sci-fi for me, but every once in a while I don't mind that, and you never know. It takes place in a pre-apocalyptic world where a young Instagram poet starts an affair with a California billionaire who promised a time machine that will make everything normal again, whatever normal again means. So this is also a debut novel. So I'm interested in hearing, I think for this one, I'm interested in hearing how others are enjoying it before I make a decision. It's not one that I would readily pick up right away. So the last two books on the list are both nonfiction. The first one is called Window Shopping for God, and it's by Deborah Kimmett. This is a memoir, obviously, about Kimmett, who is a stand-up comedian. And the blurb for this begins by saying that Deborah Kimmett has worshipped a lot of deities, right? And after emerging from a rigidly Catholic childhood, she danced with witches, whirled with Sufis, and explored the power of now like there was no tomorrow. And then the other blurb that I liked from this was from Kimmett herself, who says, if you disassociate from your body, it's called trauma. If you disassociate and get paid for it, it's called a comedy career. So I already like the humor there. And there seems to be like some deep themes in her story. So of course my expectation is that she will bring a lot of humor to maybe some darker things in her story as well. And I do love that. Okay, the final book is called Reservations, The Pleasures and Perils of Travel by Steve Burgess. This is a travel memoir, sort of, that looks at travel and how tourism has changed and what it's really costing us. And it asks a whole bunch of questions, like when does economic opportunity become exploitation? How do we justify the use of climate-changing jet fuel? And can we be sure that our tourist dollars aren't propping up corrupt and brutal regimes? And then I think the big question, I don't know because I haven't read it, but I'm thinking it's, is satisfying our own wanderlust worth the trouble that it causes everyone else? So Burgess in this also shares some of his own travel stories and experiences and uses those to answer some of these questions, as well as looking at some, different studies and what the experts say around the world, experts from around the world, for insight, into why travel and how we could do travel better. So for me, I am very interested in this book and the topic, especially as someone who really enjoys traveling. So I think that I will pick this up, but I'm not sure that it will make it to the short list. So we will see. If I were to choose 3 books for the short list, just by the ones that I most wanted to read, my short list would definitely include I Hope This Finds You by Natalie Sue. The others, there's several that I could choose, but I'm going to go maybe Interesting Facts About Space, which was by Emily Austin. And I think one of the nonfiction books will make it. So I would also include Window Shopping for God by Deborah Kimmett. So we will see what actually makes it tomorrow when the short list is announced. I can't remember what time, I'm sure it says. I'll leave a link to the website down below. And then the winner will be announced on Saturday, June 21st. And that's going to happen. They do an award gala and dinner in Aurelia, Ontario. So if I can find the time and have easy access to the books, I may try and read the 3 books on the short list. I always say that, and so far I haven't done it, so this year might be different. But if I do get a chance, I will let you know which one I enjoy the most. So please let me know if you have read any of these books on the list, or which ones you would like to read. Do you have any that you would like to see make the short list? I would love to hear all about that. I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.